Alright everyone, welcome along to another episode of Martin's World. And guys, I'm your host, Martin Condon, and it is an installment of 420 News. It's Friday guys, it's high day, got me my old bong here ready beside me, ready to go, and I hope you all rolled up and ready to blaze out there guys. I've a bit of news to deliver to you today. And just before I deliver this news to you guys, I just want to remind you to share the old hashtag there when you're tweeting Justice for Little Collins out there, just to show the support to Little Collins from the cannabis community because of all the hardship that they've went through in order to bring a product to us that's good for us, you know? Yeah. Sorry guys. But anyhow, what will we... Go back to this there now. There we go. So guys, today's 420 News. I've a number of things to get through for yourselves. But first of all, I see some of your comments coming through. That's always good to see. Dave says, happy Friday. John Roach, well Martin, how's things? So hard to get weed lately. Oh man, that's a heartbreaker to hear. Definitely examine the old dark web if you're not finding anything locally. The dark web is always a good spot to go. And if you're worried about ordering stuff to your gaff, just make sure you're ordering less than a half ounce and you should be grand. Any more than a half ounce, maybe any more than an ounce, you could even push it to an ounce and you might get a knock in the door by the cops. Otherwise, if it's less than the ounce, most likely it's going to be the old love letter from the revenue services telling you that they've seized your package. So if you are finding it hard to find cannabis out there, definitely the dark web. And also don't forget there's a couple of vendors over on Instagram and places like that too. Be very careful there. There's only a couple of them that I know of that are quite legit. As kind of illegal vendors go, but definitely do your homework. Go on to any of the pages. You've the different cannabis club pages. Go on there, look at their followers, look for plug things like that, and you'll find these vendors up there. One good one that's always kind of come to mind was Godfather Meds, and he's on Instagram. And another one that was brought to my attention recently, and I've seen people have, one person have a positive interaction there, was a guy, Zombie Nation, I think was another guy on Instagram. But there is a couple out there, guys, but just be very careful who you're dealing with. Again, you know, when you're sending money before receiving a product, you could be leaving yourself open to a bad situation. Teresa says, hi Martin, sure are blazed. I think that's what you're supposed to say, sure are blazed. There was no fire emoji. Oh yeah, sure are. Yeah, you're ready to blaze up. Yeah man, jeez guys, I gotta smoke some more cannabis. Oh, so I hope everybody's doing good out there, guys. I am going to tear into the news in a couple of seconds because I think I've about maybe 10 articles there to get through. Just 10 little bits of news on the agenda today. But before we get to it, guys, the important part of the show, it's 420 News, and it's time to blaze one up, guys. And it was brought to my attention that this is, what was the word that was used actually now? Polemic? Polemic. So apparently bong hits are polemic. I had to actually Google what polemic means because I didn't understand what that word was. But apparently it's like distasteful, problematic, or something like that. Not everybody agrees with it. And so apparently bong hits are polemic. So this is to the polemic guys out there. I'm waiting one of the days for my video to get pulled for copyright for the old Cypress Hill album. Do you know that Cypress Hill song, Hits in the Bong? Do you know? I reckon that they're going to come across the sound clip, you know, of my bong hit, and they're going to be like, oh, that's that song. And it's just like, no. Like, how many of you guys out there are waiting for the dun, 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 you know, the old music to come along with those bong hits? But a bong hit, like, I was even playing Call of Duty there the other night, and I was taking an old bong hit in between rounds, and the sound carried through the mic. And guys, like, the sound of a bong, it's universally recognised. It's a universally recognised sound now at this stage. And it was well appreciated too. Like, guys were like, oh yeah, that's a good bong rip, you know, they were cheering her on. Like, so happy fucking days. Definitely don't appreciate any stigma being expressed towards bong hits, and especially from within the community, guys. Like, to support one another, Other comments coming in. Eleanor Simmons says, hello Martin, how's it going? I'm very good. Nice and high. Hi. Brendan Hickey says, Martin, will you? Knowledge is power. Reputation-based marketplaces are safer than the Instagram hustlers as it's based on feedback rather than a private page. 100% I would agree with Graham there. Certainly reputation-based marketplaces are much safer. But as I said, the one guy, I don't know the person. I'm not affiliated with him at all, but I know people who have bought from that vendor, the Godfather Meds guys, and they've never had an issue. Similar to the Weedy Wonka guys, they seem to be a bit more edible based. I think there was La Costa Nostra as well. There was another guy that I was chatting with at some stage. But again, like while I might vouch for the Godfather Meds guy, I can't really vouch for the other guys because I really don't know enough. And as Graham says, like really, the best place to go is the dark web, these reputation-based marketplaces where the users give feedback, reviews on the vendor, and that is the best way you can protect yourself. On Instagram, it's a bit more difficult unless you get in touch with people in the know who've already bought from the person. But even then, you know, there's always the risk. Even the dark marketplaces, actually, they've all their exit scams and all of that crack that goes on. So there's very little safe places out there, actually, for us to get our drugs. Podge says, I'll have a pipe it, never will copy you on that. Nice one. Good to hear that you managed to source a bit anyway, and that you're hitting the pipe anyway rather than rolling up the old tobacco joints. Bong and the grinder, yeah, both universal sounds there as well. That's coming in from Hype TCK. Aaron Kinsella says, whoa, people are selling drugs on Instagram. Yeah, shocking horror, man, you know, and they're doing it on Snapchat too. Fucking hell, man, it's a crazy world out there. Cannabis, European with right, ye support each other for show. Happy days, man. And three sides in the Blinky the Donkey on Xbox. Oh, that's your username. Sorry, I'm just kind of, yeah, but I'll have to add you in there later on. All right, guys, let's get into it. The news, that's what we're here for, because I'll stay chatting with you otherwise through the comments and doing bong hits, and we'll get no news done. And there was some unfortunate case up in Sligo recently where a driver, where he was just stopping and enjoying the countryside. He was having a beer, smoking a joint, and unfortunately he was outside of his 5 kilometres, but he was parked up in a scenic area. Now, guys, I'm not condoning drinking or driving or sport to driving or whatever, but like I could say that maybe the guy was just after pulling up, he was just after opening a beer, rolling a joint, and was having a smoke, enjoying the scenery, because he was parked at a scenic spot. And this is an image there from the area where the scenic spot came from. It was Coolney, Clooney, Clooney, yeah, Clooney. So that was a place there in Sligo, and the guy, you know, you can imagine probably sat in the log there having a smoke, drinking a beer. Over comes 2 cops. Hey, what are you doing? It's like, I'm having a smoke, drinking my beer, minding my own business. What's the problem, Mr. Officer? And it's just like, oh, no. And they arrested him anyway. They tested him and all of that stuff. But he could have stayed there. Like, let's say he had his beer. It didn't say in the article whether he didn't say he had a slab of beer or 6 beers. It said he had a beer. So I'm imagining the man was there with a can or a bottle of something. If it was me, it would be a bottle of cider. I like my apple cider. And I would only have the one. That would be me. And I would love a smoke with it too, most certainly. And if I was to have a bottle of cider and a smoke at a scenic area, chill out for maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 hours, just take in the views. Who knows? The guy could have been needing just that escape because of all the stress and pressure that's going on there with all this lockdown nonsense and everything else that's going on. And unfortunately, this guy's been locked up. Well, he's not been locked up. He was arrested, brought back to the Gardai station. They're so worried about the coronavirus and his 5-kilometre limit, but they're going to make him come to court now soon and face charges. They're going to take his licence off him and force him to get on public transport where you've got a more higher risk of picking up the virus. Like, oh yeah, sure, it's all about the virus and looking after public health. What in the name of God was the man doing wrong outside of enjoying himself, and his life? Sick world we live in, like, but anyway, like, I suppose that the Gardaí, sure, they're just doing their job, and it's unfortunate that this is also their job, and it's a murder investigation is under the way after a fatal shooting in Ballymun, and this was last night, and it's absolutely ridiculous. It was a father of one that got shot. In the article they talk about the fact that he was known to Gardai, but not for anything serious at all. He had some convictions for personal drug possession, but he wasn't known to be involved in any gang activity according to the Gardai anyway. But again, like, people just don't get shot for nothing. It could be a case of simple mistaken identity. Who knows? Like, I don't want to discredit the man in his name or whatever, like, but again, people just like getting shot. It's gangland violence. This is a retaliation for something. What, I don't know. There's a photo here of the scene that was sealed off this morning where the man's body was there, like, but again, this is in a housing estate area. Like, if this is all down, to me anyway, I'm blaming the war on drugs. I think this is a gangland killing and something to do with drugs. He either owed money or he was selling in someone else's turf, or do you know, there was something there anyway. And I just think it was drug related, and not drug related, prohibition related. Actually, I think that's the more correct term for this. Actually, this is a prohibition related death, a murder in relation to prohibition, because the gangland crime was most likely revolving around drugs or something like that anyway, I would imagine. Very unfortunate that, you know, that the Gardaí on one hand, that they're out arresting a poor fella at the side of the road for smoking a joint, and he you know, and then on the next minute they could be down dealing with this, a dead body on the side of the road. There's two extremes. Like imagine you're stopped at the side of the road dealing with me, taking my joint off me, and I'm being all nice and polite to you, and next you have to go down the road and there's a fella after being shot in the head 2 or 3 times there in some fucking execution style gangland murder. It's mad. Like, I don't know if any of you out there actually were watching recently the BBC panorama that they did around boxing and the mob, as they called it, but it was pretty much aimed at the Kinahan cartel and stuff. But within that, you see quite clearly the effects of prohibition and what it does, and the violence in which it fuels. Where there was 2 people just sitting down in a restaurant over in the Costa del Sol, because that's where we export our criminals, because they can kind of operate a bit more freely over there. But over in that area anyway, in Spain, like, notorious for these gangland guys, and the guys just get up and run. Like, that's what you see in the CCTV, and next a masked man comes into the scene and is just popping off shots at them, like. And this is in daylight, open daylight, in a public restaurant, and it's all because of not drugs, because of prohibition. And it's right there for everybody to see, but the guys in charge, the authorities, that none of them are actually calling for the end of prohibition at all. And it's very unfortunate that that is the case, because we would be much more, our Gardaí would be much more efficient than what they were doing if they weren't targeting people like you know, in this kind of case. A man detained after the discovery of 4 kilos of cannabis here in Cork City, over in the south side of the city, where there was 80,000 euro worth of cannabis. They say 80,000, like, all right, fair enough, sounds like a lot, but it was only 4 kilos. Again, guys, just to use the example of sugar, like, just think of 4 bags of sugar, like that's 4 kilos. Cannabis, okay, it's a bit lighter than sugar in terms of the density of it, like, so it might take up a bit more volume, but it wouldn't be more than maybe double the size of a bag of sugar, maybe triple. Who knows? Like, but it's not a lot anyway. Like, that's the weight of it. Like, 4 bags of sugar, 4 kilos. Like, if it was legal, it would never ever be worth this amount of money. And again, like, you think about all the pharmaceuticals and all of this stuff now, and you talk about the stock markets and things with all of these medical cannabis companies. It's crazy, and you really understand why they're keeping it illegal. At least I think that's why they're keeping it illegal, because I don't see the danger in cannabis. Like, I really don't see the danger in cannabis. You might have your man Bobby Smith there. He's doing a talk later on. I'm going to have an attend it. But he's a staunch prohibitionist, and he believes cannabis is the devil's lettuce and it's going to fucking kill everybody. But I'm going to check out his talk when he's talking there later. I'll see if I can do a stream of it, actually, so you can see some of the nonsense that he might be spouting. But again, like, these people really, if they wanted to help people, the best way you can help people is quality assurance. They're always talking about, oh, the high THC cannabis, oh, the skunk, oh, do you know, like, you've seen articles there recently about high THC cannabis. If you're really worried about high THC cannabis, regulated, put quality controls in place so I can make an educated purchase purchase at the point of sale. As currently when I get cannabis, I have no idea as to, you know, the guy who grows it tells me, right, this is critical kush, but I have no idea as to the strength of this. Like, I have an idea, but it's within like plus or minus, I don't know, 5% or something. It's quite a wide range anyway. Whereas if it was legal and we were able to go down to a lab down the road and pay 20, 30, 50 quid, whatever it might cost, get your cannabis tested, and you find out THC, CBD, terpenes, or even better again, it's actually there for you where you're buying your cannabis from. You don't even have to bring it tested. But anyway, look, what a waste of time and money by the cops here in Cork. And a young person involved in this again. What was the age of the person here in this? Age of the person. It doesn't give the age of the person, actually. Yeah, it was car was stopped yesterday. It was searched, and the driver of the car was taken to Torquay Garda station, and investigations are ongoing. But that's it. Yeah, it doesn't give the age of the driver of the car. But again, like, I suppose it doesn't really matter too much. To me, it kind of does when I see people in their 20s getting done. I'm just like, oh man, that's a person's future just fucking jeopardized because of such an alluring position to be in. Like, absolutely ridiculous. Like, there was some comments there actually from the chairperson of the local drug task force, and this was in relation to the last article I was talking about there, the murder investigation in Ballymun. And it was the chairperson of the local drug task force in Ballymun said that the drug problem is getting worse in the area, and they said that there has been an influx of crack cocaine. Drug dealers are targeting recovering addicts and methadone users, and there's an open drug dealing problem in Ballymun. And he also said there are not sufficient resources to tackle the problem. In other words, what they're effectively saying here is the war on drugs are failed. You know, this €80,000 worth of cannabis they caught in Cork, it was only by sheer luck. That what they're effectively saying is that's only 1 in 10. They caught one €80,000, but there's fucking 720,000 €720,000 more cannabis out there that hasn't been caught, that's after getting through the net. And that's probably giving them credit and saying 1 in 10. It's probably more along the lines of 1 in 20 even, you know. So the war on drugs has failed, like, and I'm sure I'm preaching to the converted out there. Everyone really is agreeing with me, I'd imagine. But here we've more war on drugs failed. €30,000 worth of cannabis seized in Abbeyfeale, County Limerick, and again, wasted time by our Gardai going out there seizing cannabis, you know, that's going to do no harm to anybody. Searches were carried out, you know, using the Limerick Divisional Drug Unit and the local Gardai, and they found €30,000 worth of cannabis. That's going to be sent now for analysis up into Forensic Science Ireland. More wasted resources by the state enforcing a failed war on drugs, where effectively the drugs have won. Although, like, it mightn't seem like it. Like, it seems like, you know, 80,000, 30,000. Oh, the cops are busy. Like, they're doing a lot of seizures, and it doesn't end there. Like, it's another 18,500 worth of cannabis was seized in Cahir, County Tipperary, and all of these seizures here that I'm reporting on, these were all within the last 48 to 72 hours. Like, no more than 72 hours ago these cases are going back to, like, and you can see the sheer amount of cannabis that's been seized, and this is on a weekly basis. I'm reporting on this. There's no end in sight. Like, really, it seems like the cannabis that's been seized is coming out of a barrel with a bottomless, a bottomless barrel. There's no end to it, and I'm sure the Gardai are probably happy with this. You know, playing cops and robbers. They're the good guys. These guys with the cannabis are the bad guys. But in reality, I don't want to be a bad guy. I don't want to play their games anymore. I don't want to be a criminal. I don't want to be fucking going getting my cannabis illegally. You know, I don't want to be peeping out through my blinds to see if it's a cop knocking at my door, spraying around with bloody Febreze or wherever it might be. Like, I don't know how many people out there are worried about smoking cannabis in their own house, or getting their neighbour whiffing it out in the next door, you know. Living in fear all our lives, like, and it's not good for our mental health. Like, it really isn't good for our mental health. Like, more of it, Gardai fined €13,000 worth of cannabis in Bray, County Wicklow. And again, I fucking hate the Gardai in these cases when they're sticking up their old images there on Twitter and stuff, and you see it, like it's like it's fucking little Tupperware. It's Tupperware. Like it's come on. Like how this stuff is being stored in Tupperware, little plastic containers of cannabis. I don't know. Does that look like a bit of hash? That looks kind of like hash to me. And you've got like the rest of it wrapped up then in cling film. Like this isn't proper quality assurance, that cling film, all of that cannabis wrapped up like that. You just don't know what kind of molds, toxins are grown inside in that environment, because there's cannabis getting pulled off the shelves over in California for these kind of toxins and shit. But here we are, we're just taking it, like, and we're happy to get it at the best of times. I'd imagine that cannabis smells quite nice, like, and your nose isn't going to pick up on any kind of maybe dangerous levels of microorganisms, but sure, I suppose if you're going burning it, the flame is sterilization, isn't it? But what really annoys me about this is when they're sharing it, they have their tweets, the Gardai up there in their tweets, and the Bray Gardai have seized €13,000 worth of cannabis herb resin and cocaine following the search of a house in Boghall Road, County Wicklow this afternoon. As a result of the ongoing investigation into the sale and supply of cannabis and cocaine in Bray, a search was carried out, and during the course of the search, quantities of cannabis herb, cannabis resin and cocaine, subject to analysis, again all being sent off to Forensic Science Ireland at a cost to the state, with an estimated street value of €13,000, and a man in his 40s was arrested and has since been charged. Because the most dangerous thing about these drugs on the table is the fact that they come from an unregulated source. That's probably the most dangerous thing about them, and that's coming straight from a very well educated man, Dr. Carl Hart. If you don't know of him, check him out, Dr. Carl Hart. He's been on with Joe Rogan, and he's got some incredible books out there at the moment. But that's his adamant in that, and I would agree with him. Like the most dangerous thing on that table there is that the fact that these drugs are being sourced from an unregulated market. And it's disingenuous then, like to be kind of saying, oh, we're doing good to the community by tackling this stuff. Really, if you want to do good to the community, you just actually control the drugs you call controlled drugs, because as the current models they're anything but controlled. The cannabis can be gotten whether you're 12, 13, 14, you know what I mean? Like you look at alcohol, that's much more controlled. You walk into a store, there's an age limit, there's percentages, strength, indicators of the strength, all of that's a controlled drug. Cannabis, cocaine, heroin, these are not controlled drugs. They like to call them controlled drugs, but they're not controlled drugs. Absolutely ridiculous. Like, and then some of the comments that come out from the Gardai in this, like, we're doing the best, that we're tackling the drugs that cause the most harm to our society. In reality, like, no, it's your fucking prohibition that's the most harmful for our society. Nice one there for the old follow Anthony Walker. Guys, and this is the heartbreaker. I was building up upon it, right? We've had 80,000, we've had 30,000, 18,500, we've had 13,000. Now get this right. Get this. Do I have a drum roll? I think I do. No, that's the wrong drum roll. Do I have a drum roll? No, I don't have a drum roll. Never mind. Boom. Here we go. 7.4 million. So 2 men were arrested after €7.4 million worth of cannabis was seized. Guys, don't forget, only last week I reported on the fact there was €2.58 million worth of cannabis, like almost 130 kilos. I think it was 129 kilos. Well, today in Kildare, the Gardai have made a 7.4 million seizure of cannabis, where they discovered 374 kilos of cannabis during an intelligence-led operation. 2 men aged 46 and 49 were arrested in connection with the seizure and are being held at the Naas Garda station. So again, these guys that have been caught, they're probably only pawns, like little gophers, they're told go places and do things for the head honchos. The head honchos would never be caught in next or near this amount of cannabis, because they're too smart for this. Like, there's a reason why people like Daniel Kinahan have no criminal convictions to date, because they're smart. They're fucking smart. Like, in fairness, like, to take advantage of dumbasses like me when I'm 15, 16, and then it's like, oh, you're going to give me a kilo and I don't have to give you money for it. Decent. That's decent. Like, I mean, but really, like, I was being a spastic for fucking these guys, like the guys who basically import 7.4 million worth of cannabis, and they'll never touch it. They'll get idiots to do it, like idiots like myself, as I've no shame in saying. Like I was selling cannabis at a young age, like 15, 16, 17. I was selling cannabis right throughout all of that, like, and I was getting large amounts of cannabis too, like, and got into scary situations because of it. And I, you know, instead of doing that, guys, I could have stayed doing that. Like, I could have kept on dealing cannabis and whatever and made a fucking fortune for myself. Like, I could have been making easy about $2,000 a week if I kept my head down and done what I was doing back then, you know. At the time I was making about 500 a week just from selling the cannabis I was, like, but if I actually put in the extra effort, I would have been making close to €2,000 a week, like, if I was getting rid of half a kilo a week. That's not a lot of cannabis. Like, a half a kilo of cannabis, like that's only 500 grams of cannabis. Like, it's not a lot, and I would have made that amount of money. Like, and I didn't. Like, I just seen the errors of the prohibition that was going on. I didn't want to fucking go through all of the stuff that I was going through, but I didn't want other people to be going through it either. Like, I had kids myself. I had a child at a young age myself, like, and I didn't want my child to grow up in a fucking society where drugs are sold by young kids like myself at the time. Like, you know, like that to me, as a young kid, that made no sense. That was an idiotic thing to be doing, like. So I changed my ways, and here I am today, 31, and I'm still actively fucking campaigning to see this shit undone. But speaking today, Detective Chief Superintendent Angela Willis, head of the Bureau at the Gardai National Drugs and Organised Crime Bureau, said the operation undertaken today involving the participation by the Gardai National Drugs and Organised Crime Bureau and personnel in the DMR, which has resulted in the seizure of illicit drugs with an estimated street value of 7.4 million, demonstrates on Garda Síochána's continued determination to tackling the supply of controlled drugs that cause significant harm and misery in our communities. Guys, can anybody point to me where cannabis has caused significant harm and misery in our communities except when people get locked up for it? That's the only misery and harm I see of it, like, outside of the cases where people claim that they get psychosis, but maybe that they were already heading down that way and they were reaching out for cannabis as some sort of a fucking parachute to slow their descent down into whatever psychosis they were slipping into because of maybe being abused as a child, you know, or whatever kind of things that go on there, like to send people to drugs to kind of, as I say, parachute to slow the descent down into that fucking madness that you go into after being abused. But anyway, like, you know, she went on to say that we will continue to target those who engage in the distribution of illicit drugs and tackle criminality engaged in by organised crime gangs who benefit from such activity. But really, if she wanted to fucking target these gangs, she would just take the activity that they're making so much money off of and regulate it. And then these criminals can't engage in it anymore, you know, or at least if they do, they have to do it legitimately by the rules set in place by the regulators that actually protect people. These fucking idiots, like Angela Willis, like, what are we paying her for? Like, is it just to keep going with this fucking nonsensical thing, or is it to actually try to do good for our society? Like, prohibition has failed. War on drugs has failed, lady. And then Assistant Commissioner John O'Driscoll adds to the nonsense of what they'd be saying. He's the head of organised and serious crime. He said the significant success being achieved by members of Garda Síochána throughout the organisation in tackling serious and organised crime and the challenging circumstances arising from the COVID-19 pandemic is outstanding, and it reflects their considerable ability and dedication. Man, it's like, what a load of nonsense, really. If they wanted to look after a Gardaí and throughout the pandemic, they wouldn't be sending them into people's houses for fucking cannabis plants. Really, like, imagine you sent them into somebody's house who's isolating because of maybe they picked it up, they had a close contact, and that same person was growing a bit of cannabis. And now you've just sent in members of our Gardaí who were exposed to a deadly virus, as they're saying, a global pandemic. And we're putting our Gardaí in harm's way all the time. For what? For a plant that potentially is a prophylactic for this fucking virus. Prophylactic, if you don't know, is a preventative. That was a new word I learned the other day. I wasn't too aware of what a prophylactic was all along. Oh man, this just madness never seems to end at all. And then in kind of in other news, in kind of somewhat related to prohibition, I suppose. It was that the mini Rathkeale Rovers. So Rathkeale Rovers were a crime gang there that were basically a lot of travellers who were travelling around Europe, ripping people off with dodgy tarmac at them and stuff like that. But these guys now have been described as a mini Rathkeale Rovers, and they've been targeted there recently in a massive sting operation by the Criminal Assets Bureau. That they've now frozen like up to $500,000 in bank accounts and things like that. But what was interesting me within this was that this mini Rathkeale Rovers, like what their thing was like basically anything that they can make money in, and that including money laundering for gangs who are supposedly dealing drugs. So there's massive drug dealing gangs who are apparently laundering money through these guys, and these guys are also involved, I would imagine, heavily in drug dealing because they're the old Del boys. Do you know what I mean? They'll basically buy and sell anything that they can think they can make some money off of. And what's easier to make money off of than cannabis, than cocaine? And these guys are fucking like, you buy a generator off them there, like, and you know what I mean? You go open the box and all that's inside there is bricks. Do you know what I mean? And these guys are bringing your cannabis and shit in, like, oh man, really, like, just legalise and regulate it and let little Collins and the likes of them out there to actually bring a quality assured product to the market that's not going to put consumers in harm's fucking way. And like we see all this going on here in Ireland, all of these raids, 7.4 million, like, you know, the 13,000, 18,500, and all of this like cannabis getting seized and destroyed, and people getting locked up for it. And then on the other side of the world, over in America, do you know what's going on over in America? Like, not only is cannabis being made an essential service, but now the workers in the cannabis industry in California are at the front of the line, ahead of the teachers. They're up there with firefighters, they're up there with police, to get the vaccine, because their service is being seen as so essential. Now, there's been a bit of uproar about it. People have kicked up a fuss about it. They're not happy that that the cannabis workers are getting their vaccine before the teachers, because they think it's more important that kids go back to school. But it's interesting when you think about it, because as the article went into it, this was Jared Killo, and he's the president of the LA-based United Cannabis Business Association, and he's owner of the Higher Path Dispensary in Sherman Oaks. Basically, he said cannabis is a medicine, so cannabis workers are healthcare workers, and healthcare workers are frontline workers. And he says after 26 years of calling it medical marijuana, how can you now differentiate what we've called a medicine, and then tell us we're not health workers, or that we're not providing medicine for people? He said, his voice rising in indignation, it is slightly disingenuous to put a label on something and then take it away whenever it's convenient for you as a government. And it's true, like, it's over in California now, you get your cannabis, medical cannabis, you know, it is a medicine. And they're trying to say, like, actually, no, it's not a medicine. Now, when it comes to this, like, so they're picking and choosing when it is and it isn't a medicine. But it's great to see, look, that the cannabis workers are getting recognition, and they're up there with the nurses and the frontline workers, the healthcare workers. Because, you know, if the cannabis dispensary or whatever, it was to get closed down because one of their workers got the virus, then the people who depend on them to get their cannabis, which again, as I say, it's an essential service because it's a medicine for so many people, they would have to resort to the black market most likely, or maybe there might be another facility there to fill the void, but maybe there wouldn't be. But that was, I've got a 5 o'clock meeting every fucking Friday, and I struggle to make it, so I've got 5 minutes to spare, so I'm going to pack me up a bowl and I'm going to have a stroll through your comments, and I might spend 10 minutes with you guys. I'll probably still be about 5 minutes late because you're all so busy commenting, guys. I have to take the time to go back and try to read as many of them as possible. But guys, just as I'm packing my bowl here and I'm talking to you, just to remind you guys, if you haven't done so already, like, if you're watching on Facebook, guys, go over and give my YouTube channel a follow, or subscribe to it. Just so you can be up to date. It seems like Facebook isn't updating people all the time when I go live. It seems like YouTube might be a bit more reliable for that, so just to be sure. And guys, vice versa, if you're on YouTube and you have a Facebook account, make sure you go over there, find my Facebook page, give it a like, and don't just like it, guys. When you go into it, like go into, there's a little button, you can drop down the button. I might do a little video to show you, like, but you can actually get notifications where you push preferences up in your newsfeed, so you're more than likely to see my page. I think you can also make it a favorite as well, just so you can get notifications when I'm making posts. But just to remind you, like, Sunday I'm going to be out protesting again, and that's going to be done live, so keep an eye out for that. It'll kick off at around 4:20, most likely at 4:20. But it'll be based here in Cork City. A little bit of cannabis, some cannabis flowers, maybe a cannabis plant, and I'm going to go into the Gardai station, and it's a little civil disobedience protest. Much like all these bong hits that I do here online are civil disobedience protests, and just kind of openly trying to break the law, but I don't know, trying to normalise things. I don't know, there's no shortage of videos of people out there taking bong hits and things, like, you know, so I don't know, I'm just trying to just be brave. Bit of food from earlier. Hugh. Guys, a lot of comments coming in there. I don't know if I've gotten them all up here on my screen, but Mr. Wiz says you're starting to sound a bit paranoid. There, Sewer. That was a reply to somebody else. I thought you were calling me paranoid. I think I'm anything but paranoid. Other comments coming in. Knowledge is Power says the Gardaí admit they would only ever be able to tackle 10% of the drug supply at best. And yeah, that's the number that I've always rattling around in my head as well. 10%. I believe that came from I can't remember what the man's name is. I think he might have since passed away. I might be wrong on that. But he had the Irish War on Drugs, I think, is the name of the book, and I think it was within that is where I got that number from. But yeah, about 10% is the number that the Gardaí kind of say, and that's at best. That's at best. Podge says, for fuck's sake, it's just a plant. There's more deaths from drink than cannabis. Certainly is. There's very much an argument to be made that cannabis could be safer than alcohol. You know, I definitely wouldn't shy away from that argument there. Excuse me. Is cannabis harmless? No, I'm not saying cannabis is harmless. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, is it safer than alcohol? Yes. Podge also says, I was nearly right. Oh my god, what a waste of beautiful green. Oh man, it was so much wasted green there. Grief Havoc says weed to be made legal federal level in US and then will be legal here. 100%. I think so. If it's made legal federally over in the US, it'll be like only a matter of time then before Ireland, like the sheep we are, just follow suit. I was really hoping that I can do something in I don't know, lighting the fire on the air asses out there, guys, to kind of get up, because I think the power is with us, guys. You know, you ever see that image there of where the government is hanging off the edge of the cliff and the crowd of people are standing on the platform that's keeping the government in balance, stopping them from falling off the edge of the cliff? I certainly believe that the people have that power, that if we the people kind of step up and say no, like, and walk off of that board of prohibition, like, and civil disobedience, like, is how I see us doing that. I think the government, you know, I think the system is going to fall, you know, probably fall, because the courts, they won't be able to handle the cases. That you see the cases there, guys, when I touching off them, some of them are going back to almost 4 fucking years ago. Aaron Kinsella says, when is the Bobby Smith talk? Did you say that's this evening at about 8:30? That's kicking off at. So I'll try to get a stream of that up there for you guys. I'm also taking part in another talk actually myself at 8:30, so I'll be busy there actually this evening. Over on Walker Talker Talk Show. I'll try to share a link to it there anyway up on the page there later. He got on to me yesterday and wants to have me on for a chat about cannabis, so I've been quite busy. Other comments coming in there, guys. Based off of the prohibition of MJ being unconstitutional, I hope it becomes legal though. Yeah, sorry, there's a whole string of comments coming in there from Cannabis Weekly, so I'm trying to make sense of it. Martin Horgan says lack of it can cause misery if you're depressed. Certainly can, guys. Certainly can. Especially when you're seeing the Gardai destroying so much of it. Like, that's going to annoy you even more. You're like, can I get some of that there, and I'll help you destroy it. I'll take my trusty lighter, and I'll engage in some civil. I don't know, like pride. Do you know, because I wonder how much it costs to destroy the cannabis, actually. I wonder how much that actually costs. Aside from bipolar disorder and depression, some of the most frequently misdiagnosed mental health disorders include borderline personality disorder, ADHD, PTSD, and anxiety. Fuck that vaccine. I see that. I think there's some replies going on. There are the YouTube comments coming in there, guys. So I'm trying to make head and our tails. You're probably conversing there amongst yourselves, and here I am trying to read it out as if you're talking to me. Other comments coming in. YouTube gang represent. Go on there, Mustawes. Brendan Hickey says, are you operating the stream yourself too, Martin? Good luck Sunday. Nice one. Yeah, I'm operating the stream myself, if you're asking about this one right now. Yeah, I'm operating the stream, and it's just a one-man show right here. Teresa O'Connell says, fucking disgrace what happened to John, poor man. They won't leave him alone. Guys, yes, I almost forgot. Oh my god, how could I fucking forget? I only shared it yesterday on the page, so you've probably seen it. But John O Regan, who was on the show before, he was raided again by the Gardai, and they took 7 cannabis plants off him. Now, in fairness, he said the Gardai were much more respectful to him on this raid, but he was raided again, guys. So again, my support and condolences there to John, and I hope you're doing good, John. John, a 2-time guest on the show there in the past. Fuck, man, how could I forget there to report upon John's news? My apologies, John, for not including you in the main lineup of the news there this evening. I'll certainly go back and correct the headlines and let people know that that what your plight, basically, the suffering, and I might have you back on the show there again, John, in the future, just to talk about that experience again, bring people up to speed on it, because I think every time we highlight all of these injustices, it's I think it's beneficial to the cause, you know. I think people need to know what's going on out there, and the people behind these raids. You know, John, guys, you've seen him on 2 podcasts. He's a very nice gentleman, very friendly guy, very positive. You know, he seems to want to do good in society. He doesn't seem to have any nefarious motives there driving him. And it's a shame to see him on this end of the law, you know, at this end of the stick. You know, he shouldn't be. He really shouldn't be. So do definitely, guys, give support there to John, and thanks very much, Teresa, for bringing John's case up there. Thanks very much. I really appreciate that. Knowledge is Power reminding me is Dr. Paul O'Mahony is the author there of The Irish Drug War, a very good book, guys, if you're into books at all and want some literature to read about the Irish Drug War. Very adapt title too. The author there, Dr. Paul O'Mahony. Aaron Kinsella says, when's the Bobby Smith talk on? Actually, I read that. It's on this evening. Pat said, dude, a lot of people have both bipolar and BPD. So I think you're replying there to some other comments. At Martin, yeah, that's what I'm going to look for, guys, in future. If you want to get me to read your comment from YouTube, hit at Martin at the start of your comment. That way I can differentiate what's replies to somebody else and what's replies to anybody else. So just in future, guys, just that's a good way. Nice one, Pat. Pat says that, Martin, you might mute this lad spam in the chat. I'll have to go back and do some moderation there, guys, with that. Apologies. I don't be paying attention to the chat as it's going up there on that side of the screen. There we go, over on that side of the screen. I don't really pay attention as it's coming in live, so it's not distracting me too much. So I apologize if people feel like there's somebody spamming it or anything. I don't see it going on until later on in the show. Gary Murphy says, good luck on Sunday, Martin. Nice one, Gary. And Podge says, that's brutal to hear and wish him the best of luck. And that's going to John, and that's from Podge. And to you too, Martin, for Sunday. Nice one for that, Podge. Eleanor Simmons says, have you got a book, Martin? Excuse me, I don't have a book, actually, Eleanor. I never believed, I have a lot of self-doubt, and I never believed in myself enough to write a book. Unfortunately, and I did have an interest in it at times. There were certainly times when I was doing a herbal science course and I was like, fuck, I should be converting some of this stuff into a book that's easy for people to read, again, because there were so many studies at the time that I had read, but no, I sadly I didn't. Yeah, there we go. I see all the spams there now coming in, actually. Yeah, fecky spammers. But nice one for the comments anyway. Your interaction on the show is going to be beneficial to the algorithms. But guys, nonetheless, Eleanor, thanks actually for asking there, have I got a book? I don't anyway, to answer that. And yeah, guys, that is all of the comments there today. So thanks very much to everybody and for all of your comments. And guys, again, if you're watching right now, before you go, hit that share button if you haven't done so already. Help the show just further reach, get the message out there to people who might not be privy to this message, and maybe they listen to something within my argument there that kind of converts that mind. You know, the fence sitters out there. You know, maybe there's some good that the show can do, but nonetheless, I might get to some converted anyway who are already out there. So guys, it is an absolute pleasure as always to be bringing you the 420 news. I hope you have an amazing weekend. Don't forget Sunday to keep an eye out for the live stream of the Valentine's Day protest, where I'm going to bring some flowers to the Gardai to show my love, nothing but respect for the guys and what they do for our community. Great work they do. So yeah, keep an eye out for that, guys. And yeah, as always, guys, stay blazed out there and keep her lit. Much love.